Hey everybody, how is it going today? In this video, I'm going to go over 88 Energy Limited, ticker symbol EEENF again. Since my last video, they came out with their well results news and the stock did not react well. So I'm going to give you my opinion on the news and then go over their chart and let you know if it looks salvageable or not. After that, I have some other nice looking charts I want to show you, and then I'm going to get into some of your questions. Now, if you're new to my channel, I like to trade and invest using mostly technical analysis. If that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing to my channel so you don't miss any future trading or investing ideas. And I also have my Patreon group linked in the description. In my Patreon, I talk about the trades I'm looking at and the ones I'm taking. And I also do a live stream in the Discord every morning if you want to ask me any questions directly or see what I'm day trading. All right, so let's get into that recent news first, where it says shares of the Australian oil explorer 88 Energy Limited are tanking as they follow the more than 65% drops on the London and Sydney listed shares. They said it wasn't the good news part of the earlier update on its Peregrine project in Alaska's National Petroleum Reserve. Last week, the company announced it had detected potential hydrocarbon-bearing zones while conducting drilling operations for Peregrine. Instead, it's likely the bad news of this morning's update from 88 Energy Managing Director David Wall that revealed a power outage due to equipment failure and other issues preventing the company from sampling its two highest prospect zones. As well, further drilling may be required to confirm a discovery. We appreciate that these early results may be difficult to interpret. That is because we do not yet have all the data required to allow interpretation, Wall said. This means some uncertainty remains. However, it is already clear that Merlin 1 has delivered by far the best outcome of any of the 5 wells drilled by 88 Energy in Alaska over the last 6 years. All right, so here are my thoughts on what's been going on. Now remember, I don't own any of these shares. I wanted to buy some last week, but my broker rejected my order. So my opinion is pretty much unbiased, so hopefully you can use my perspective. Now, on the surface, this news just seems like a delay in the results, so I'm kind of scratching my head wondering why the shares would have crashed so hard. All I can think is penny stocks don't really instill a lot of trust in investors because they have been known to make believe. Or people in the know have more information than was reported because it's sold off on enormous volume. Now, if this stock was a total hoax and the stock is just another pump and dump, then it seems they would have ran it higher to get rid of their shares. So, this price action is rather confusing even for a penny stock. I guess if I was in the stock, there would be no point selling now because the drop was so sudden I'd be trapped already. All right, so if I was in this stock right now and I was trapped, this is what I would do. This is just my opinion. This is not financial advice, so please make your own decision. But if a stock gap down huge like this and I got trapped, all I would do is probably buy a little bit more. Like say if my original purchase was $3,000, I would probably go in and buy maybe another $1,000. I certainly wouldn't go in and double down. If you double down on big losers, that will end up destroying your account over time or even very quickly, depending on how bad that loser is. I find when I add just a little bit, it's not adding too much more risk to the trade that's already happened anyway, and it gives me an easier chance to dig my way out with either a small loss or break even, or if the stock does scream higher, it just magnifies my gain. Now, with this stock and what has happened, if this well is still good, which it could be, I mean, who knows for sure? Unless you got boots on the ground over there, you're not really going to know. But if this well is going to be a producing well and those results are coming in the future, then the premise on this stock starting to go up in the first place is really still intact. So that's how I would trade this. That's just my perspective. Take that for what it's worth. Now let's get over to the chart. All right, so let's jump over to my TC2000 charting software and witness the carnage. Oh, the humanity. 88 Energy Limited absolutely fell off a cliff yesterday, and I just can't believe how much volume was there. I mean, it was down on 2.6 billion shares, down over 78% overnight. You know, this happened over the weekend, so there was no trading. It just came in one big foul swoop. And if we go to the 15-minute chart, we can see that 763 million shares were traded in the first 15 minutes. Now, when you see these huge gap downs, what it is, either a gap down or a gap up, there's so many shares that are either being sold or being bought. In this case, they were being sold at the market, that the market maker had to go all the way down to this level to find enough buyers to satisfy all those sell orders that had built up after the news came out. So that's why you get these huge gap downs. This means that there was just a ton of people that put in their sell orders even before the market opened. You know, they didn't want to think about it. They just wanted out. And that's the scary thing about this chart. If it had gone down on a little bit less volume, I wouldn't be as prone to be thinking that there's probably some information out there that we don't know, because if that well still has the potential to be a good producing well, why would so many people head for the exit like this? Now, of course, if you look at today's price action, it is up 4.3% or 4.8% at the moment. The day is still going on, so of course that's going to move around a little bit. But it was higher. You know, this thing was trading at around 3 cents, and now it's down to less than 2 cents. So it has been selling off as the day goes on. So probably a lot of people that were stuck in this stock probably are headed for the exits because the volume isn't, you know, nearly as big as the day before. It is still pretty high, and like I said, there's still some time left in the trading day. So, I mean, I guess if I was in this stock and I had this much time to digest the information, I would probably just add a little bit, but this is a pretty tough chart to get going in the right direction. I guess the only thing that would make this thing head up in a fast manner would just be some great, you know, news that was unexpected, because when you look at this chart, you have everybody that's been in since these 5 big up days. They are now trapped. So they are probably looking for a reason to get out, unless they have a lot of long-term conviction. If they do have long-term conviction, then they probably should be adding at these levels. But, you know, you never know with these penny stocks, because there's so much sketchy information out there, and the information is kind of hard to get. So you can't really go on everything you read on the internet. You kind of have to look at the price action. That's why I like looking at the price action more so than looking at the news, because that's usually what people are really making their decisions when they're, because talk is cheap. You know, you can go on those message boards and write all kinds of stuff, and who knows if these press releases, you know, are is valid information or not. But when people start putting their money where their mouth is, that's when I like to get involved. And this thing looked like it was poised to scream. If you ever see this kind of formation in these penny stocks, I'm telling you, you can flip through a bunch of charts, and this, even if you did lose money in this stock, I mean, you could take this pattern as a lesson and just go look for it in penny stocks, and you'll see when a stock starts doing something like this, usually good things happen afterwards. I mean, sometimes you get a little bit of a retracement until the moving averages catches up. But usually when you get this first thrust up, you get a little bit of a retracement, and then you get another big move up. So that's kind of what I expected with EENF, and it could still happen. I mean, if that news comes out, that could send this thing screaming higher again. Who knows? But with this current price action, it doesn't look super favorable, at least in the short term. I mean, this thing could grind around for a little bit and then start building up some more momentum to the upside. But if there's still people that are owning this stock here and they're not 100% sure they want to be holding for the long term, you have to realize they're going to be looking for the exit if they get anywhere near to break even. So that's something to think about if you're a long-term holder of the stock. There's probably going to be some grinding back and forth for a while, unless some fantastic news that's unexpected just comes out. But that's my take on the chart. I don't think it's the end of the world with this gap down, but it's just going to be harder for the stock to build up momentum. All right, well, the first of the nice-looking charts that I want to show you is IPNFF. I actually did a video on this company a couple of days ago, and I'll link that at the end of this video if you want to learn a little bit more about this company. This company is actually pretty cool, but when I did that video, this stock looks like it was starting to break out But since then, it is pulling back into support. It's pulling back to these moving averages. It's finding support at the 21-period exponential moving average today. So this looks like it could be winding up for that next move up. If I back the chart out a little bit, you can see it had a very nice rounding bottom, the creeping uptrend, and then it looked like it was starting to blast off. Now, if we go intraday, it looks like this was a little bit of a fake out. The market maker is getting a little bit cute with you because you had all of this volume coming in, sending the stock higher. It made one of these very nice bullish triangle formations, looking like it was going to break out again. Had this green candle, looked like it was going to be off to the races, and that's when the sellers came in and pulled the blanket out from under everybody that was buying the stock. And that's what these guys do sometimes when they have a big order, or a big lot of shares that they want to get rid of. They kind of wait for this bullish pattern to take form, and then when everybody sees this, they're thinking that more often than not, this stock results in the stock moving farther, so everybody jumps in, and that's when they come in with those sell orders, because they have to have people coming in to buy at those higher prices in a large quantity in order for them to get rid of a large quantity of stock. So, I mean, like here was one formation right here, where it made a bullish triangle, and then, of course, it had that green candle breaking out of it, and this is what usually happens when you have this type of formation. You get a decent run up to the next level. Here was another one right here. You see them all the time in charts. If you go intraday, it's usually a pretty good time to start buying these stocks when you have these little triangle formations, and then you get the green candle out of them, because then you usually get a continuation of the move. And they used this one against us. So they were waiting for it, and then they used that to send it down. Now, you can see that there was a big red volume coming in, but it wasn't enormous. It wasn't as big as the green volume that was coming in before that. Let me get this stuff off the chart real quick. Going back to the daily chart, we can see that it's actually at a pretty decent part of the pullback. Now, the fact that it did pull back this far, this fast, tells me that it could need to grind around a little bit. It might need to make one of these type of formations before it heads higher. Kind of like one of these moves, where it makes like a bullish consolidation triangle as it starts to put pressure on the upper resistance area. It might take, a couple of weeks for this to end up blasting higher, but who knows? Good news could come out that sends it higher, but if I had to guess, that's probably what's going to start forming right now. And if you did want to take a position right here, you would just want to place your stop under this level right here around 27 cents. So it isn't a ton of risk if you're going to be getting in right around 35, 36 cents. And if it does break below 28 cents or so, probably the pattern is going to be broken. This is a pretty decent looking support area right here around 30 cents all the way down to about 26 cents. So you want to give it a little bit of leeway. If it gets down to this area, try to see if this support area can give it another move up. But IPNFF, I think, still looks pretty good, even though it has been pulling back. But the next one I want to show you is PFMT. I've been watching this one all day. I actually have an order to buy some at $2.17 right here on that 8-period exponential moving average, but it is not, hasn't pulled back that far as of yet. I don't know if I'm going to go in before the end of the day. There's still about an hour or so left, so I don't know if I'm going to go in and just buy at that higher level. I'll probably just wait till tomorrow to see if it comes down into this green box. But if I go a little bit further back in this pattern, you can see this is very similar to the other one I just showed you. Had the big move up, started to make the rounded bottom. You had the creeping trend up, and now the trend is starting to accelerate. So what I'm looking for is a pullback into this area and then another move up. And actually, let me go back to the other one real quick just to give you another look at it. You can see it kind of had this big move up. Now it's pulling back right around here. This is where PFMT is. So hopefully it gets another move up, comes down, makes a low on top of this other support area, and gets another slingshot move up. That's what I'm looking for in PFMT. And like I said, I do not own this one yet, but I might be in this stock before the end of the day, probably by tomorrow if it gets down to this level. Next one I want to show you is HNRG. This one I actually do own, but it is making a pretty nice formation at the moment. It already broke through this bullish consolidation, kind of like a triangle consolidation, and it's starting to hold above this resistance area, which now becomes support. So if it can come down and touch this support area or this white line, this 8-period exponential moving average, I think there's a pretty good chance that this one could be headed higher. I've actually been into this one for a while. This one has teased me a couple times. It looked like it was going to take off, and it pulled back. So hopefully 3 times is a charm, and this one finally starts to take off. This one is in the coal sector, and a lot of these inflation type stocks, these commodity type stocks, have been gaining momentum. So that's another reason why I've been holding on to this one, but hopefully this one gets going soon. Next one I want to show you is VVPR. VVPR is one I have been watching. It's Vivo Power International. They are in the solar sector, but it had this very nice move up just a few days ago. It has been consolidating at that level. You know, if we go intraday, we can see that it's making a pretty decent triangle type formation. I think it's going to be breaking out one way or the other very, very soon. I'm thinking it's probably going to be to the upside since its first move was up. Usually you get a consolidation and then you get a continuation in the same move that it came into it. So normally when you get this kind of formation, you do get a breakout to the upside. So that's what I'm looking for in Vivo Power, and it wouldn't surprise me one bit if this thing blasts above that blue line, that 50-period simple moving average, any day now, because I mean it's sitting right on those support moving averages. Let me get this out here so you can see it just a little bit better. Sitting right on those support moving averages right now. So I think this thing is a ticking time bomb ready to explode one way or the other. You could take a gamble and like buy some right now and thinking it's going to go up, and if it does go up, you'll do very well, but you never know, it could break to the downside as well. All right, so let's get to some of your questions. All right, so let's get into some of the questions. There was actually a lot of questions, so I'm going to try to get through these as fast as I can. The first question came from Oscar. He asked for my expert opinion on GTVH. I don't know about expert, but I will definitely give you mine. Anyway, this stock was up massively today. It's pulling back a little bit right now. It's up 30% at the moment, but it was up well over 45% at one time. If you have been in this for a while, Oscar, I would definitely be feeding some of your shares into the market right now, because this move is starting to go parabolic and it's unsustainable. Now, it could go on for another 1, 2, 3 or more days. So if you're selling on a day like this, you get the opportunity to sell more if it continues to run. But if this is the high and it starts to pull back, you get the satisfaction of selling at least some of your position near the highs. And if you do want to re-enter, you always can. And even if you are a long-term believer in a stock like this, you have to take advantage of these parabolic moves. I mean, this thing, if you sold out all today and it went up for another 1 or 2 days, chances are when this stock does pull back, it's going to pull back below this level before it resumes, because huge moves like this need time to be digested. So that's what I would do if I owned this stock. And actually, this stock looks pretty similar to 88 Energy, the first stock I talked about in this video. If we go back in time, we can see that GTVH had a huge sell-off just like 88 Energy. 88 Energy gapped down, so it didn't give you a chance. But these 2 days right here where it came crashing down more than 50%, you probably didn't have a whole lot of time to get out of it either. It wasn't the same as, you know, sitting in a big gap down situation, but it came down pretty fast. And usually when a stock comes down fast like that, it takes, you know, several weeks or so to grind through it. That's because everybody that got trapped here, they've been watching their money go down for, you know, days and weeks, and they slowly start selling out of the stock. And if I zoom forward a little bit, you can see once it goes sideways for enough, then you start to get a little bit more momentum in the stock, because most of the sellers have left, so the buyers start to outweigh these sellers again. You get a big a decent up day on some decent volume, and then you start taking off again. And this is when I like to buy right here. You get a big move up, you get a hold of that moving average, and then you get another green candle. Now, this just candle, if you were looking at this one on this day, you'd probably be thinking this was right near the old high, but when you get this bullish move, you can have a huge move for the next couple of days. So this is, even though this looks like there's a lot of risk because the stock had been up a lot and it's coming into that resistance, Once it makes this pattern right here, it can really explode through it and go on multi-day runs just like it did right now. So GTVH, absolutely perfect looking pattern in several different ways because it shows you what probably 88 Energy is going to end up doing, at least for the next couple of weeks or so. But then if 88 Energy starts taking off like this again and makes this pattern, that's usually a good area to buy. That's why I say it takes a little bit of time after a huge down move like this to kind of grind through all of the people that were trapped. But once you get through it, if the stock does get a catalyst, then you can get that next explosive move higher. Okay, next one was from Mike, and he asked me to take a look at ACY. ACY is looking pretty decent. Has been up huge after a big gap down. I think everything's kind of looking like 88 Energy. But this one had a huge gap down. Then it must have had some news that came out, and now it's exploding higher, and it's holding those highs. So this one is, if this one can make another one of those green candles right here after it touches this moving average, this one could be off to the races as well. This one is about $12.15 at the moment, so I can definitely buy this one. I would think. I don't know with my broker, but I would think a $12 stock they would let me buy. So I'm going to put this on my watch list. Thanks for bringing that to my attention, Mike. But I think that's an absolutely beautiful formation. And if you go intraday on these, you can see them a little bit better. They're really starting to make nice triangle formations when you go to the 15-minute chart. And then what you want to look for is a break above that trend line and then a hold of those moving averages, and that's when you can get your next leg up. But I think ACY is definitely looking pretty good. Okay, next one is from my friend Thomas. He's asking me about BD. That's SD. How about BDIC? Oh, BDIC. Blow and drive interlock. And this pattern really blows, because it is just fading down into an oblivion, fading down into the abyss. This one, hopefully it can find some support right around this area and start to, grind up a little bit. But this is one that's definitely had that huge pullback, so it looks like it's going to have to go sideways for probably a little bit longer before it can start building up momentum, because it looks like there's still a bunch of people to get rid of that were trapped. And hopefully you're not one of those people that were way up here, Thomas, but it's going to take a little bit of time, and then it's going to need a little bit more volume coming in. I mean, only 4,000 shares traded today. I mean, this thing is paper thin as far as volume, so it's not one that I would be buying or I would be happy to be stuck in. I know a lot of people like these low float stocks, but man, when the interest comes out of them, they can really, just fade into the abyss. Okay, the next one was from Joshua, and he was asking about NNOMF. NNOMF. And I think Josh had some other ones he wanted me to see as well, and he had some pretty good ideas. But this one, very nice looking chart pattern, had this huge consolidation for several months, and then made that absolutely beautiful pattern that I love to see right before I buy. I mean, you'll see this over and over and over and over again. If you just wait for this move right here, you're going to have more winners than not. I know in this market, a lot of these lower price stocks are starting to fail that pattern, but that doesn't last forever, and these things will come back into favor, and they usually stay in favor for quite a while. But it makes that nice pattern, the green candle, and then starts working its way up. And as they say, the longer the consolidation and the bigger the move out, and that's exactly what you got. And this is what is happening again. So at this point in the chart right here, it looks like we are right about here from the previous formation. So if it does the same exact thing, and charts have been known to do the same thing over and over and over again, I would look for this pattern right here to start to take form. If you're not already in the stock, I think you are, Josh. But I'm going to be watching this one because this is a beautiful formation. If it starts to make this pattern again, I don't know why this thing won't let me move. There we go. If it starts to make this pattern again right here, I am going to jump on board for this one. Actually, I'm going to take a deeper look into this one and see what else I can find out about this company, because it looks like a pretty interesting chart. But the next one I want to go over was from John Butler. He was asking me about ONCY. And ONCY is making an absolutely perfect chart pattern. Came down to the 8-period exponential moving average, as now it is starting to follow it up. These days haven't been very, very big, but they still are stacking on top of each other. Now we're getting a little close to this old resistance area, so oh gosh, I guess depending on where I bought it, I might want to feed at least a little bit into that resistance area. It kind of made it into that area today and immediately reversed. So you might have missed your chance if it does reverse from here. I'm thinking that it's probably going to continue higher just looking at the pattern, but you never really know what's going to happen. But this is a very, very nice looking pattern. Perfect rounded bottom and just grinding higher, and it looks like it's starting to accelerate right now. So this is actually not a bad time to be an ONCY. Very nice looking chart. The last one was from the Amish Jew. That's an awesome name. And he was asking about nano dimensions. I've actually gotten many questions about nano dimensions lately. And I hadn't gotten any questions on nano dimensions in a long time. So I guess this is getting into a very desirable buy range for a lot of people. It has been pulling back quite a bit. So perhaps some people are wondering if they should get out. I think there's a lot of potential long-term with this company. I would rather be a buyer down here at this 200-period simple moving average because it is right next to that old support level as well. So they might be coming in to each other right around the same time. The 200 simple moving average is a slower moving average, so that's going to take more time. But right around 625 to maybe 635 looks like a fantastic buy area because you also have this support area right here. So 620, man, I'm going to say 626 looks like a pretty decent entry point on nano dimensions, not only for a long-term ad, but probably for a good swing trade because this has been falling from $11.65. So if it gets cut in half down there right around $6 and I don't know, we'll call it $6.16. If it gets down to $6.16, it is definitely due for a bounce because that is a large pullback. So I'm going to keep this one on my list as well for a potential swing trade because that is a nice looking chart as well. All right, guys, well, that's all I have for this video, so I'm going to end it right there. But if you have any questions about any of these stocks, or if you have any other stocks you want me to take a look at, please leave them down there in the comment section. I will get to them as soon as I can. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end, guys, and until next time, take care.